Hey everyone, Natalie Egenolf here with Dei Lynam. It's a Tuesday, December 14th. Sixers played last night, or did they play? I'm not really sure. We are talking to our Sixers expert, Dei Lynam, to talk about what happened last night against the Grizzlies. What happened?
Well, they were minus two big parts of their team in no Joel and no Seth Curry. And Joel, I know, was a last minute decision because he's been struggling a little bit with that abdominal slash rib injury that he suffered 2 games ago, now 3 games.
Right.
And to be honest with you, Nat, the Grizzlies are a good team. And they
Yeah.
were without John Morant. But
Yeah.
I had listened to Doc Rivers before the game started, and he talked about like how this team, that young Grizzly team, competes. And I
Right.
think that's what you saw last night. And the Sixers defense just wasn't there. They allowed Memphis to shoot 52% from the floor, and
Right.
that's just not going to get it done on most nights.
Now, who do you think shouldn't have been Tobais, who kind of stepped up? Maxey stepped up last night. He had 23 points, but is Tobais producing enough during the games when Joel is out, and especially something last minute? Shouldn't he be the guy who's kind of taking the reins as the leader and producing?
Well, certainly the fans feel that way for sure. They often talk about how Tobias doesn't do enough, and 12 points was certainly not enough out of him last night. I think it's interesting you bring up Maxey because some of Maxey's best scoring games have happened when Joel is not out because it allows him to get to the paint and operate freely, and, which is great. But I think that is an area where they really do have to kind of figure out how the two of them can be at their best when they're playing together and not separately, when Maxey's playing at a high level when Joel is out. But to answer your original question, you would have hoped that Tobias would have delivered more.
So now we're looking at the Heat, the Nets, and then we have the Pelicans. So tomorrow, Thursday, Sunday. How's your outlook for the rest of the week? Are you feeling? Do you have anything on Joel or?
No, well, I'm hopeful that he will return to play. I think he so badly wanted to play in that Warriors game, which was an outstanding performance all the
Oh
way around for the
yeah,
Sixers. So, and I kind of feel like you might have the same thing coming now. Jimmy Butler's been out a couple of games because of a bruised tailbone, but
right.
Joel tends to get up for those kind of big competitions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going up against a Jimmy Butler. So I'll remain hopeful that he can play tomorrow night. Miami, again, I mentioned how they didn't have Jimmy Butler the last couple of games. They're coming
Right.
off a loss to the Cavs, and I hope people are waking up to see that these are not your uh, bottom basement Cavaliers anymore. So we'll
Right.
see. Both teams are coming off of a loss, and Miami has played pretty good basketball, so I think it's an evenly matched game. And Kyle Lowry, we get to see him in a Miami Heat uniform
Yes.
for the first time.
Yes. Wow. I know, a homecoming for him. That's going to be interesting. And then the Nets. How you feeling about Brooklyn?
I say don't look past
Too far.
Miami to
Okay.
look at well, no, you and I can, but
Yeah.
you hope that the team does
One
not.
game at a time.
Um, yes, but you know what, Nat? I think the one thing in the Eastern Conference, and even though the Nets have been at the top, they haven't pulled away or separated themselves from the rest of the group. Like even when the Sixers lose a game here or there, they're always 3.5 or 4 out of first place.
Right.
And that's the way the East has gone to this point. You're more than a quarter of a way through the season, and there's a lot of parity in the East. So I would say get your W against Miami first. You will
Okay.
find yourself in a back-to-back situation. I will say this: if they think they need Joel on Thursday, maybe we don't see him against Miami because they would be saving him for that back-to-back situation.
Yeah, for against Brooklyn. All right, Dee, we'll just wanted to check in with you real quick. This is the Parks Pod studio. As you can see, can't wait to get you up here. We're just testing
It
things out
looks
right now.
fabulous.
It's beautiful, and I can't wait to, hang out with you in here. We're gonna have so much fun. Thanks for joining me today. I will check in with you soon, Dee. We'll talk about the games probably next week. And everybody who's listening, thanks so much. Make sure that you download the Park Sportsbook app and follow us on Instagram and Twitter.